something was just telling me just to keep going. I feel like it was there to do its thing. And when it happened, I didn't think that it was happening to me.
Destination Exmouth, Western Australia. On our way here, it feels less like another country than another planet, an alien landscape where it's alleged visitors from another world have paid particular attention to us.
Dear Sir, I hereby wish to report a most unusual sighting.
When it leaves, how quickly does it leave?
Probably 10 times the speed of a jet aircraft.
Oh, very, very fast.
Very, very fast. Planes can't fly like that.
It was definitely solid. An oval, the size of a car. I have absolute clarity of that memory.
What we saw was not of this world.
Under the watchful eye of the town's flightless guards, Ross Coulthard has arrived here to investigate the strange activities of something that's been flying above Exmouth. Down Under's very own Roswell.
It was God's town. It was really God's town. I mean, Exmouth is sheer paradise.
For many years, a tropical outpost of the United States on the edge of the Australian outback.
So every morning we'd say, God save the Queen, and then we would swear allegiance to the flag.
To the American flag in Australia.
In Australia.
Hiding in its star-spangled skies, some very dark secrets.
We saw an unidentified flying object, and the US military wanted to know what we had seen. They wanted it shut up.
It, whatever it is, seems to be interested in this place, on the edge of town. A heavily guarded military installation once run by the Americans. And just a few kilometres further out, one of the strangest structures in Australia. Built to radio nuclear attack orders directly to US submarines in the event of all-out war.
You couldn't pick a more remote part of Australia to locate this extremely secret military base that was doing communications with America's most dangerous nuclear submarines at the height of the Cold War. It's one of the last places in the country to see the light every day. And one dark night, 30 years ago, a young Australian who was living here, called Annie, had an experience that was to change her life forever.
It's approximately around about 8 p.m. I called a cab. They called at my house and picked me up. And we headed straight out towards base.
And we're following that route now?
Yes, correct.
How far is it up to the Harold Holt base?
Approximately around 5 kilometres.
So it's too far really to walk.
It is a fair way to walk, especially in very, very dark circumstances, and there's absolutely no lighting whatsoever.
You were how old at the time?
I was 25. It's just me, and I'd come out to catch up with good friends.
The good old boys, here on the US base, outnumbered women by 25 to 1. So, any chance to mingle was cause for celebration.
It was a brilliant night. It was a really good night. We didn't drink too much.
They had a great time, and then it was time to go.
One of the protective service officers that I was with that evening, he said, we're about to go on patrol, so we'll just pick you up and take you back into town.
In the car that night in 1991 were Annie and 2 officers from the Australian Federal Police.
The gentleman that's driving he's got his window down, he's starting to look out. And he looks at the other federal officer alongside of the other side of me, on the left-hand side of me, and says, it's back, grab my camera.
It's back.
It's back. I'm asking over and over, what's back? What's back? And then he sort of looks at me, puts his camera down. He grabs me by the back of the head and says, look up. So I lean forward and look straight above the vehicle.
What do you see?
I see a craft. I see a diamond-shaped craft hovering literally straight above the vehicle.
Are there lights?
Yes, there's lights on the bottom of it.
How big is it?
I would say 2 to 3 cars in length.
Any noise?
Nothing. There wasn't a single sound coming from this.
What colour?
Grey. Like it was a deep grey. Within seconds it shoots up, straight up in the sky, like faster than you could watch it, and then it comes down over here. Just like there 1 minute and then there, then there. But it's still even that. Even I can show you with my hands, but it still was faster than that. So they dropped me on the edge of town, literally throw me out the vehicle and take off back.
And is that the end of it?
No. Well, I thought it was. I thought that was it.
Back home, Annie was shocked, struggling to make sense of what she'd witnessed. But her weird encounters were far from over. A few days later, another unwelcome visitor came knocking.
And suddenly 2 military police from the base show up. I mean, there was an air of, in their voice of, you need to come with us willingly. And if you don't come willingly, then, you know, something more could go wrong there.
2 military police requested she accompany them to the base.
As we rolled up, before we even got to the gate was open for us. And whoever would stand aside and let us through. And then we indicated to go into the top security section of the base. And the minute we indicated for that top security section, I was thinking, wow, this is really serious.
Also hauled in for questioning were the 2 men who'd been with Annie that night.
She was in the company of 2 Australian Federal Police officers who were then known as Protective Service but are now part of the Federal Police. And those police officers and her were cross-examined, interrogated by American people in the base in the days following the incident.
In the centre of that room were sitting the 2 federal officers. There was 3 chairs. The one in the middle was vacant, and the 2 federal officers were in the other 2 chairs.
How did they look?
Their heads were bowed. They looked like they were broken. They didn't even look up at me as I was escorted into the room and asked to sit down in the middle chair.
And I have multiple witnesses to what transpired. I'm in no doubt whatsoever that it was a secret investigation by the Americans into what Annie says that she saw. And they didn't want her to talk about it. Do you think the whole purpose of that event was to try and keep you quiet?
Oh, for sure. For sure. I think I was a surprise to them. I think I was a shock to them. And I think that they didn't know what to do.
I think her story has been consistent all the way through. She's got excellent recall. She's somebody who's got a very sturdy reputation in the jobs that she's done inside the WA Public Service. Nobody can lay a glove on her, I think, in terms of credibility. And more importantly, for other good reasons that I have that I can't discuss here, I'm very confident that what she's telling me is an accurate representation of what took place that night. Can you draw it for me?
Forever burned in my brain what we saw that night. So it was sort of like very elongated front of it, like very pointed. It come down almost like a diamond shape. But the end part was taken away from it. Had lighting, like, I would say the spine of it, and then on each wing. So when it come down to the left-hand side of us and I looked over to it, what I saw was it was long but then slowly come up to a shape like that and then back down. But in this was all cut, almost like ridges in it, like a 3D effect almost.
The mystery of just what that object was that was seen hovering somewhere between this hill and that remote secret base still remains unsolved. I find that fascinating, and so do a lot of other people all around the world who've long been puzzled by the conundrum of unidentified aerial phenomena. It's something that has also been ridiculed and covered up for so long. So we've decided to follow the trail, to follow in the steps of the Americans here who took their secrets with them. We're going all the way across a continent and across the Pacific Ocean to their home country of the trail of the flying saucers. Can I show you an image that our friend Annie drew?
Absolutely.
That's the shape that she says she saw hovering over the vehicle that she was in. Is that a familiar design to you?
It is. There's some slight variations, but what's interesting to note are the lights that you see here. One of the interesting aspects of these triangular reports are the lights are not little small anti-collision lights like we see with, conventional aircraft. They're usually described as large circular discs, if you will.
Like that?
Like this.
Is there a link between nuclear weapons, do you think, and these craft?
Yes, there seems to be a strong correlation between nuclear weapons, nuclear storage sites, and UFOs.